one of our zoning staff. So thank you for being here. This meeting is being recorded, and there are a couple of ways to participate in the meeting. One is to attend, as many of you in front of me are. Another option is to attend virtually, and people can also call in and listen to the meeting that way. Regardless of how you participate, it's important that you sign in and give us your contact information if you want to be considered a participant in this meeting for any future action. For those of you in the room, there's a sign-up sheet out back. And those who are on the attending virtually, you can sign in and provide your contact information on the chat box. And if you call in and you want to sign in, you can send an email to Marla at Marla M. Keene, M-K-E-E-N-E, at southburlingtonvt.gov, which is the new email. If you're attending virtually, we ask that you keep your microphones and your cameras off until you are acknowledged and invited to speak. And if you do wish to participate, pardon me, during the public comment period, raise your hand and we'll acknowledge and invite you to speak. And we also ask that you do not use the chat function to chat amongst yourselves, because it's not part of the public record and it can be fairly distracting for us. So thank you for all of that. Item number 1 on the agenda is emergency evacuation procedures. There are doors in the back corners, on each back corner of the room. In an emergency, you could exit the door and either turn left or right, and you would be outside. Are there any, pardon me, additions, deletions, or changes in the order of agenda items tonight?
No.
Oh, okay, seeing none. Are there any announcements or reminders? No? Okay. Are there any questions from the public that are not related, or the applicant that are not related to the agenda? Seeing or hearing none, we're going to move ahead with our 5th agenda item, which is our only project tonight that we're reviewing. And let me read to you what that is. Oops. This is a reopened preliminary and final plat application, SD 2128 of Beta Air LLC, to consolidate 5 existing lots ranging from 1.53 to 736.2 acres into one lot of 747.92 acres, and to construct the first phase of a new concurrent application for a master plan to include 344,000 square feet of manufacturing and office building, improving approximately 2,400 feet of private road, and constructing associated site improvements at 3070 Williston Road. Who is here for the applicant? Come on up, Art. Good evening.
Good evening.
And are you the only two who will be representing Beta tonight?
Actually, we have some of our technical experts and design team available also.
Okay. Are they attending virtually so I can swear them in?
A couple of them might be virtual, and then we have some here in the audience as well.
Okay. So maybe anyone who might be providing testimony tonight or virtually, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Really?
It is, yes. It's been a long road, as I'm sure the DRB and staff will attest to, and it feels like we're coming to the end of that journey. And so, yeah, any chance we have to come back and try to answer any final questions, it's always a good sign.
Okay, well, thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
So I understand we have probably all read the staff report. I'm sure you have too. And I understand that you sent an email this afternoon to Marla that we have not yet seen. And I wonder if you could summarize that before we start to go through the staff reports.
Certainly. So the email that was sent out to Marla was really talking points for tonight's conversation. It took each of the staff comments and provided a written response to those comments, as we've done in the past, to one, help the DRB have some notes, Marla have some notes, and really make the process a little as smooth as possible.
So would it make sense, Art, to have you give a few opening comments and then go through the staff report, and you can provide the comments you provided in that email as we go through the report?
Fantastic. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. So why don't you give us a little brief overview of what your thinking is now and what we'll be looking at tonight?
Okay. I suppose first off, and I touched on this a little bit, and appreciate the acknowledgement that we've all exhibited a lot of patience here in the process, and want to thank the DRB and staff for the openness and the willingness to allow this special hearing to try to bring this application to a close. Also really want to recognize, I know they're not here tonight, they may be watching, but the effort that City Council and Planning and Zoning staff made in recognizing the hardships that exist in the land development regulations. And even though it does not apply to this application tonight, it certainly will help further applications in the future to move through the process more smoothly. We believe we've designed a fantastic project. Everything from the way that it sits contextually in the site, to the way that it fits within the neighborhood, to the sustainable features of the project. And tonight's hearing hopefully will be the culmination of those examples and getting us to a decision here. Also, just wanted to say that we believe that the project as it was originally conceived is permittable, could be permitted under a couple of different options that were in the staff comments. We're not going to talk about option 1 and option 2 tonight, because I believe that in order for us to be consistent with what we conveyed to the City Council, what we conveyed to staff and to the DRB, is that time is of the essence. It is the most important thing for this project, that we are setting aside options 1 and 2, and we'll focus on option 3, a redesign of the parking, if you will, some elimination of parking that we believe will allow the DRB to move forward with this application and approve it, issue a decision in a timely manner that will allow us to roll out on the project. So in a nutshell, that's kind of the framework that I see happening tonight. We're going to focus really on option 3. Quick update for you on the technical permit side. We did receive notification from the state today that the last technical permit that was outstanding, the operational stormwater, received no public comments, and that permit will be issued tomorrow. So the last remaining permit is actually the zoning permit required for us, or the decision which is required for us to pull our Act 250 permit. So as soon as we can answer your questions, as soon as the DRB can deliberate and issue a decision, we can move forward with construction on this project. The building department, Chief Francis and his team have already issued the building permit pending issuance of the zoning permit. So that's also waiting in the background for the outcome of tonight's hearing. Our goals for tonight, the biggest goal, as you might imagine, is to get to a yes. We think we have the solutions and the answers to your questions that will allow the DRB to close the hearing, issue a decision, ideally in a timely manner, so that we can continue the project and move it forward. There have been significant, this is probably no surprise to anybody, there have been significant increases in pricing and challenges on the subcontractor labor market that are impacting the project currently. And the longer that this goes, the more in jeopardy we are in actually being able to complete the project in a way, in a time that allows us to meet the commitments to our customers. So we want to close tonight and then issue a zoning permit in an expedited manner.
Okay.
So did I miss anything, or just big picture there?
That was very helpful. My question is, Art, you said don't focus on 1 and 2. You'd like to focus on 3. What about 4?
4, we won't be focusing on 4 either. We don't believe it's a viable solution from a time frame and get us to yes in a way that meets our project schedule and project needs.
Okay, great. Thanks. So it's all about 3.
It's all about 3.
Perfect. Okay, good.
Try to take the funnel, narrow it down to the most critical, what we believe is the clearest path forward.
Okay, great.
So with that, the staff comments, if we move
Did
to.
the board have any questions?
Yeah, I
on
was
the
just going to say,
introduction?
before
Sorry.
you, I wonder at this stage, does the board have any questions for the applicant before we start going through the staff report? Okay. Did you look poised?
Well, it
to
can
ask a
wait till we go to the staff report.
Okay, all right, good.
I want to move it along.
All right, good.
Your mic is off.
Your mic is on.
No, it's just not on.
There you go. Okay, good.
And just to be consistent, I should ask Blaine if anything on the big picture side we missed here.
No, I think you hit it well, Art. I mean, the biggest thing, time's of the essence. So all the other options we think are viable with time, we just don't
Excuse
have
me,
any.
could you speak more directly into the mic?
Yeah, sorry. You know,
What is your name, please?
I'm Blaine Newton, Chief Operating Officer at Beta. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us tonight. You know, I had the opportunity to join a month or so ago. I think, Art, you touched on everything. We think all of the options have viability, but it's based on our internal discussions and discussions with others. We believe option 3 is our fastest path, hopefully. And so I don't think I can stress it enough. We're out of time, and so we're going to focus our efforts on option 3 tonight. Thanks.
Great. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, I realized I forgot to turn my phone off. So. Okay, let's look at staff comment number 1. And this,
Actually, slightly before we go there, just back up to just above parking, staff notes that the staff considers if the applicant wishes for the board to consider options 1 and 2, the board must make a determination on those options before considering options 3 and 4. That note is what drove us into the direction of only pursuing option 3 for tonight, because it felt pretty clear that in order for us to get to yes, that's where we needed to focus our efforts.
very good.
Just for some context. Okay. Staff comment number 1. The staff recommends the board ask the applicant to generally describe their planned approach if the board approves the plan submitted on April 9th. While the approved plan must stand alone, staff considers an understanding of the applicant's planned timeline will facilitate the board's discussion. And so under this parking piece, A, had 3 items that it really wanted to share with the board and that were communicated to staff earlier today. 1 is a planned approach and timeline. 2, actually, let me back up for just the public and anybody that may be listening. So option number 3 is a recalculation of the parking based on the rear and side yard formula that's provided in the land development regulations. Essentially what that does is it reduces the amount of allowable parking, or creates a number of allowable parking spaces of 42 or 41, which reduces what the designed parking from roughly 200 and some odd spaces down to that 41. So we eliminated those parking spaces, eliminated the infrastructure that was part of that, curbs, the paving, sub-base, all of that stuff was taken out, and that was what was resubmitted. So when we go through this parking piece here, we're doing that under that design that we've submitted.
Okay.
So the planned approach and timeline, what we propose is to construct only the parking shown in the documents included in the packet. The parking will accommodate a portion of the initial parking required to operationalize a build phase of the project. The parking that was submitted was 41 parking spaces, of which 12 were ADA parking spaces. Those are exempt from the DRB side yard or side and rear calculation, which leaves 29 general purpose parking spaces that will be built based on that.
Weren't there actually 42 spaces?
There was staff
Originally?
comment. There was a slight discrepancy in terms of the way that we calculated the dimension. Staff noted that we needed to remove 1 parking space in order to be compliant. So we've removed that 1 parking space, reducing it from 42 down to 41.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sorry, I hadn't looked at the actual plan. So the 12 handicap spaces will be in front where they're allowed to be,
That's correct.
and then 29 spaces on front, side, and rear. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Marla, is what's on the screen what was submitted today, or what was in our packet?
This is the packet. Yeah, we can pull up the other one. It's only this much different.
Right.
Sure.
Well, that makes the whole parking discussion a non-issue, right? It complies.
That would be our view as well.
Is there any reason it doesn't? Yeah.
It seems to work. The numbers work.
And I assume the ultimate plan is when you get around to red phase, it comes back in because you're going to need the parking eventually. Right?
We will need the parking eventually. If we need that parking before the red phase of the project, we have an off-site parking agreement that will allow the balance of the parking to exist off-site. We've established a shuttle plan that will be using a 23-person electric zero-emission bus that we have on order to move people back and forth between the parking and the site.
Excellent.
There's nothing like exigency to produce innovation. I congratulate you, Ray.
Jim, did you have a question?
No, I was just wondering if we could see the plan that we're actually
Okay, all right.
talking about. Since we
Yeah,
have
the difference is
spot, right?
just one spot. I did have a chance to look at it myself, so I can put a little.
Yeah, if you have that's great, Marla. I was gonna say, if you have the write-up electronically, there is a circle that was submitted when that does make its way to the DRB that shows exactly where that parking spot was removed.
Oh, we do have that if you prefer.
That would be great. Yeah, I think that would help everybody.
Do you know what page of the memo that was?
I do.
It's the
That
same
would
PDF, so I
be,
can switch to whatever page it says.
page 4 of 5 of the memo. Right, and so in the insert there, the blow up, you can see in the red circle, that is where the parking space was deleted. So there was one more in that area, and that parking space is now gone.
Okay. Are you going to tell us more about number one?
Well, I was going to just try to close that with any discussion or questions around traffic impacts. Just wanted to let the DRB know that the off-site parking is associated with the airport in underutilized, previously permitted parking lots. So there's no traffic impact because those calculations had already been done. There's no traffic impact to our site because we're actually removing parking. So we have fewer trips there. And just wanted to give the DRB the understanding that we had looked at that and that we understood that there are no traffic impacts.
Questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Great.
Moving on to number two.
Staff comment number 2, staff considers that pedestrian movement is adequate, but that the board should require the applicant to clarify what elements of the previously proposed sidewalk are proposed to be constructed. And so on page 3 of the memo, there's a diagram that shows the sidewalks in orange that will be constructed as part of this phase of the work. There you can see that the sidewalk along Williston Road, the sidewalk along the main entry drive, the sidewalks that surround the parking that will be constructed, as well as the sidewalks that lead to the entry and over to the sidewalks along Eagle Drive will all be constructed as part of this phase of work.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Number 3, this addresses the, do we need any additional information regarding the adequacy of the provided parking? Questions from the board, or do you have any comments you want to make
I
about
don't.
that?
I was just going to note that we believe we've answered this question as part of staff comment number 1.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of feel like we've covered it, but any questions? No? Okay. And staff comment number 4. This is about removing one parking space. Seems like you've taken care of that. Thank you for that.
It is. Thank you.
And number 5,
And number 5 is an unrelated matter regarding off-site. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. It is not unrelated. Number 5 relates to the stormwater management system and what would be constructed under this phase of the work. And what we're going to construct are the 4 bioretention basins, the 1 subsurface sand filter, and one of the 2 40,000 gallon rainwater harvesting cisterns. So that infrastructure needs to go in both to support phase 1 of the project, as well as to support future development, as would be consistent with a master plan and the work that you would do in the initial phase of the work.
thank you. Questions? Okay. So that's it for staff comments.
That's it.
And thank you for responding to them. Do you have anything to add before we go to public comment?
Not related to the technical permits, I would just close with, with the staff comments, I would just close again with time is of the essence. And I think you can see from tonight, we've set aside 2 of the options that we felt were very viable, with the clear intent of allowing the DRB to get to a yes and issue a decision in a very quick manner.
Sure.
You know, if there's any questions that the DRB has that we haven't touched on, want to make sure that we give the board the opportunity to ask those questions so that we can close tonight with a yes and move on to the next part, which is the writing of the decision.
So I think what we're going to do, Art, is ask for public comment. We've received a number of written comments, and those were all in the packet, and we've all reviewed those, but there are apt to be more comments tonight. And then we will probably go into deliberative session, and either we'll leave or ask you folks to leave, and then we'll come back together.
Okay,
So,
great.
so are there any members of the public here in person or virtually, attending virtually, who would like to make comments? Okay, please. What?
Sorry, I do have one online that does.
Okay, why don't you, it's Roland, isn't it? Why don't you come up, Roland, and state your name for the record and tell us your thoughts.
Good evening. I'm Roland Groeneveld, and I just want to make sure that to express that it's, I think, extremely important that we move this forward. Beta has done everything they can to make this happen, and I think they have a plan here that makes it work. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Could we back up a second? There is, we didn't talk about phasing at all, did we?
That was not in the staff report.
That was for 4, probably, right, Frank? For option 4? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, option 3 didn't propose any changes to phasing from what the board had
I didn't
previously
mean
reviewed.
phasing. I meant, well, I meant total time frame.
Yeah, they weren't proposing any changes to what the board had previously discussed.
I can wait till deliberations, I guess. Right?
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comments?
I do have one online, Don
Okay.
Peter.
Okay, Peter, could you turn your camera on?
I can.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and tell us your thoughts.
Surely. My name's Peter Cherouny, Cherouny. I'm actually not a lifelong Vermonter, but I've lived here over half my life after coming up here to UVM in 1972. Leaving for medical training, I then came back and went up through the ranks and retired as an emeritus professor. In the meantime, our two boys grew up, one of which went to UVM, worked for Green Mountain Coffee, and then left for the West Coast. The other one couldn't find his satisfaction in the States and is currently in Norway. Well, back to Matthew, who's actually an employee with Beta. We were actually, after his wedding out west, we were considering actually moving out there. And these are some of the incidental things that happen, and maybe states don't always appreciate. My wife has a business, I have a business. We have 30 years of retirement savings that we either not get taxed or get taxed at another state. Fortunately, Matthew called us and said, I just took a job. Guess where it is? It's in Burlington, Vermont. So we, after picking our jaws up off the floor, we were able to settle down and realize they were coming here. And with the demographic boost in the 50 to 70-year-old age group, it's pretty clear there's a lot of people like us whose kids have moved away, and it never dawned on us that they'd be able to come back to Vermont. Well, he was able to come back to Vermont because Vermont is supporting an avant-garde, high-tech, competitive business in Beta. The bottom line, I would say, is time is of the essence for them. You know, they're competing with 15 different international companies, and we need to give them those capabilities to bring back to keep these jobs here. The last thing to say is, since they've been here, they've had 2 grandsons for us, and obviously we're going to follow them wherever they go, because that's what grandparents do. So I just underscore that we're thrilled to have one of our sons back in Vermont, because we honestly never thought it was going to happen. And this is the reason it's happening, and I'd certainly encourage you to support this. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who would like to make comments? Okay, hearing none. I would entertain a motion for us to go into deliberative session.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor of approving the motion to go into deliberative session, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? No. Okay.
All right, so let me talk about logistics because Mark is online. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a breakout room.
Recording stopped.
Wait, leave it recording for a minute.
Recording in progress.
I'm going to create a breakout room. I'm going to shift Mark and myself to the breakout room, and then I'm going to pick up my laptop. We're going to stop recording, and me and the board are going to take Mark up to a different room and have a conversation. And then we will come back down. You all can talk amongst yourselves. It's not going to be recorded. We'll bring Mark and myself back into the main Zoom room. Everyone else who's online is welcome to stay online and wait for us to come back. We'll do it as quickly as possible, but I'm not making any promises. And we'll see you shortly. All right?
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to start that breakout room, and you can stop recording. Great. don't know why yours wasn't updated. Do you want me to read the report? Yes, please.
So are we back?
Recording in
Good.
progress.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back to the Development Review Board meeting for April 25th, 2022. We have just returned from deliberative session, and I think we believe that we have all the information we need to make a decision. But let me just say a few things that I probably should have said at the beginning. With all the comments we got, that the role of the DRB is to adjudicate the land development regulations that are in effect when an application is submitted. It's not to judge the value or the merits of a particular project from an economic standpoint or a social standpoint or whatever. And I think that unfortunately, not everybody understands that. So our job is to be consistent in applying the regulations. So thank you for your patience as we did that. And I think with that, we are ready to entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing on SD-21-28 Beta Air LLC preliminary and final plat application.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go in peace.
Thank you.
So, we're gonna go deliberate. You can stop recording. I guess other business, right?
Oh, other business, yes.
I don't have any other business.
There's no other business.
Okay,
No
so no other business. The meeting's ended at 7:43. So you can stop recording, and then we're going to go upstairs and